Well, Iran says it is not currently holding any talks with the U.S., despite assertions by Donald Trump that negotiations will resume today and an agreement with Tehran is imminent. Uncertainty over peace talks come as Iran has been holding talks with Oman over security in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's get the latest now with our Middle East correspondent, Matthew Doran. Matt, so Iran's foreign ministry held a press conference just hours ago. So what was Tehran's response to Donald Trump's claims of the peace talks?
Girish, good evening. He is the Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson, I should say, Esmail Baghaei. He is effectively refuting what Donald Trump is saying here about the prospects of further negotiations and indeed this framework of a deal coming into place here in the Middle East. This follows on from Donald Trump's initial post on his Truth Social platform in the early hours of Sunday morning local time here in the Middle East, saying that he had cancelled a series of planned strikes against Iran because Iran had requested it do so. Other Middle East countries had also requested that Donald Trump hold fire and that there was the framework for this deal to end the fighting and reopen the Strait of Hormuz that was emerging. That's what Donald Trump said on Sunday morning. Fast forward to Sunday evening local time here in the Middle East, and we were hearing from Donald Trump that talks were going to begin in this region later on today, and that is what's prompted this response from Esmail Baghaei, the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson. It really adds to this great sense of uncertainty and this back and forth that we are seeing between the US and Iran. Donald Trump saying one thing, Iran saying the complete opposite there, and it is sort of fueling that uncertainty across this region as to what will be coming next. Donald Trump's comments that a framework of a deal was emerging did seem to take a lot of people by surprise, considering just how difficult it has been to get to a point where both the US and Iran agree on key issues. Not only the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which was part of that interim deal back in the middle of June, which is of course now in tatters, but also other things such as the future of Iran's nuclear ambitions. So his statements taking people by surprise. Iran certainly saying that if that's how the US sees it, well, it sees the situation very, very differently.
On another aspect, Iran has been holding talks with Oman over the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. What have those talks achieved?
So this is an ongoing set of negotiations between the two countries that sit either side of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran obviously wanting to express its control over that waterway. It has done so throughout the course of this war, which is now in its 6th month, but also conceding to a point that it is going to have to work with some of its neighbours in this part of the world, and namely in this instance Oman, which sits on the other side of that waterway. The back and forth between the governments there is about what sort of routes could be used by ships going in and out of the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. This ongoing idea that perhaps Iran controls one of those channels for ships going either in or out of the Persian Gulf. Oman controls the other. This was part of the interim deal, which, as I mentioned, has fallen apart. That was signed back in the middle of June, which said that Iran and Oman and the other Gulf states who are reliant on the Strait of Hormuz for shipping, that they would discuss future management of that waterway and try to come up with some sort of conclusion there. But again, the fact that there hasn't been an agreement between Iran and Oman really highlights again that what Donald Trump was saying about this framework of a deal emerging was certainly premature, quite aside from Iran's objections to that sort of language being used there. It also highlights the fact that before this war began on the 28th of February this year, that waterway was free and open. We are now not even talking about this waterway going back to that pre-war arrangement. It is now clearly going to be a situation where Iran continues to exercise some sort of control, either by itself or with other countries such as Oman there.
Yes, so much of uncertainty across this conflict there. What does this mean for the region?
Well, there is a sense of anxiety right across the Middle East as to what will come next. We know that countries including Israel are on high alert. So should this situation deteriorate, should there be a return to all-out fighting? To this point, and for the last week and a half or so, it has been relatively calm in this part of the world. And I use that term relatively because there is still obviously that simmering tension there between the US and Iran that was expressed through 2 weeks of ongoing strikes between the two countries just about 2 weeks ago. That's flared up once or twice in the period since that pause as well. The Gulf states are clearly very anxious about this situation. That is why they are using their leverage, their influence here to get in Donald Trump's ear and to urge him to walk away from strikes, to pursue diplomacy instead. Saudi Arabia chief among them, particularly the Crown Prince, the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, speaking to Donald Trump over the weekend there. This is also still causing great uncertainty on global energy markets. The Strait of Hormuz remaining blocked, the flare-up between the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen and Saudi Arabia in their long-running conflict, also disrupting shipping through the Red Sea, where Saudi Arabia has been trying to get large volumes of oil out of the region and onto the open market. So there is a lot riding on this situation, and with no clear path forward and these disputing or differing views as to exactly what is happening, it's certainly not calming the situation or calming any of those nerves that people are feeling, Girish.
Okay, Matthew Doran in Jerusalem, thank you very much.